In this tutorial, I wanted to talk you through the different steps you're going to need to be doing to be successful in filling out this lesson, the L7 App Exploration. So the idea behind this is that I want you to consider how an app on a smartphone can help you solve a problem. So what you're going to do is you're going to decide how a computer, and in this case a smartphone, can use different types of information to solve a problem. You'll need to figure out which inputs the computer should use to get the necessary information. And remember, this is going to be things like what you would do to the smartphone, okay? Like what the user would provide or any sort of sensor on the phone, okay? And whether or not the information needs to be stored for later use. Does the app need that information to function? Does it need it later, to access it later? So this particular lesson deals with two separate apps. Two apps that may or may not exist already, but can help solve a problem. So they've already come up with the problem-solving solution for you. I want you to figure out how the different pieces are going to come together. So this first app deals with the problem that the user's phone would go off in class because it was ringing because they forgot to silence it. So the problem that we are identifying has to do with the phone going off in class. So you might notice I'm thinking of it like it's the problem-solving process. You have to define, you have to come up with the different information that you're going to need. You're going to think about testing out your problem, testing out your solution, and then coming out with your reflection. Now, since a computer needs inputs, outputs, and processing and storage, you can kind of see how these will fit into our problem-solving process. So for example, what type of output should this app produce? That's pretty much the same as what does success look like for this problem, right? If your app does what you want it to do that solves the problem, then me asking you what type of output the app should produce, that should be something that makes sense. What is it that you're trying to solve, and how does this app solve that problem for you? A table like this that you might see, this is where you're providing information that the app needs to function. So fill out the following table with the information that the app needs and whether or not you will find the information from either a phone sensor or the internet. This information has already been provided for you, so you don't need to add anything to this, but what would you need to fill in for here? Same goes with your other app that you're trying to figure out. This is already the example answer, so you'd need to answer the rest of the table. So they're looking for you to think. Are you going to find this information from a phone sensor or the internet? Both of those are going to be inputs, right? Well, the answer that they provided for where you're located is from your phone sensor, because that's how you find out where you're located. You have a GPS unit on your phone. But where is it going to find the information about your high schools or your middle schools or your elementary schools? Okay? When we say the internet, we mean some type of external source. So I know your phone accesses the internet, but that's not a phone sensor. I do not have a sensor on my phone that tells me that I'm in a school or not. So as you move on, it'll ask you about the different type of processing that you're going to need to use. Does it sort information? Does it match information? Or does it count information? So think back to what information you need to make this app work, and what is it doing with this information? Is it sorting, is it matching, or is it counting? And then explain what it's doing and how it's going to get your desired output. You'll notice in the reflection, they'll ask you some questions about if you want to make modifications to this app. Here's an advanced version, okay? And they'll describe something. So what is the app going to need if you have additional features? What specifically will it need, okay? So you're going to go in and you're going to answer these questions, which is our reflection, because when you reflect, you think about new problems that may come up after you're done solving your original problem. And the second app deals with recommending movies. And this is based on some of your favorite movie types, maybe some books. It's also going to need to kind of consider where the different theaters are in the area around you. So you'll answer the questions just like you did before. What type of output should the app produce based on what type of problem that you're trying to solve? And then you need to answer the questions in this box, this table, about where it's going to get the needed inputs. Is it a phone sensor? Is it the internet? Or is it the user themselves that puts the information in? Okay? The user being the person using the app. How is it going to be using this information? And for the second app, there's more than one response that will work. And then you'll have to answer some of these reflection questions. So move your way through this packet, and when you're done, you'll have to make sure that you put your name at the top of it.